Order. Each of you have already seen your the agenda prior to today, and you also had a chance to review your minutes. So we'll just table the adoption of those minutes for the next meeting. On to item number 3, call to artist ranking for the Extension Service Office as well as the Ag and Equestrian Center. And you guys will remember this is out at the Canterbury site in Newberry. Lyra.
Oh, right. So I have to move to the table so they can hear me, or they can hear me okay from here? Can you guys that are on Zoom, can you hear Lyra okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, you want me to pull this PowerPoint up? Well, yeah, I'll just leave it there until I get to 97.7. Okay. So the thing is that we wanted to work with CodaWorks with your scores and all that. Apparently the system has crashed and has some glitches to work on, and they're standard.
Hey. We do now have a quorum. Wonderful. So if you could just hold for a minute, Lyra.
No problem.
Okay, we'll go back. Welcome, David.
We needed you.
Okay. So back now that we have a quorum, we'll acknowledge the approval of our agenda, which is item 2, and the adoption of our minutes for November 2nd, December 7th, January 4th, and February 1st. And if you remember, those were all held as workshop meetings. Okay? So we have a motion to accept those.
Motion to approve. Christine Larson.
Christine, okay, thank you.
Second, whatever.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna go to item 4, the call to artist ranking.
All right. So, again, this is Lyra Cruz for those who don't know. So we have tried to do the scoring via CodaWorks. The system had glitches, it was just not working in our favor. So I was hoping that you guys would be open to the possibility of postponing the scoring and doing it manually this time.
I wrote all my scores down. I did it for nothing.
No. You can just expose it. It's actually a good thing.
You know, you have to do some bubbling.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
and there were also a lot of questions on how the system was working and all that. And, okay, so maybe we jumped the gun on it. So I think it would be a lot easier and a lot better if we just extended the scoring until next month. But I will need a motion from you guys to make that happen.
Okay. I can't make the motion as the chair, but I'm all in favor of, if somebody would like to make that motion to extend it to
Yeah.
next month.
And I don't know if I can say it now, but I wanted to make a motion to also remove some criteria for
Yeah,
all
that
of the
would be great.
artists.
So once we get a second, if we can have a discussion, because I do have some questions that I had about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, If we can get somebody to just quickly second the motion to postpone this,
Yeah, I can.
okay, and who made the original motion?
Irina made the motion, so I need somebody to second.
So yeah, I
Second.
made the motion for the criteria removal, yeah.
No, not the criteria, this
It
one
will
is
be-
just
To
to
postpone the
postpone this
evaluation.
until next
Until
month.
next month.
I can do the second,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so now I have some discussion.
Okay.
So all in favor of postponing the
Yes.
scoring to next month? Aye?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Now, I have some a question about this whole process. Not so much the coda, because I was one of those that were guilty, but, there were a lot of applicants that didn't provide a timeline, a budget, or a proposal. So how can you fairly score it if they didn't even complete what you asked them to do?
One.
But that's what I did. Everything was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah, no, and that is correct.
Mhm.
If they didn't provide it, they didn't provide it. And unfortunately, that's not what we can do on our side, so.
Well,
But why, I mean, almost, okay, so when they come to you and you go through your technical review, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for exactly all of that. That they have it, that if they submit at least something, I have to put them in. At least in this case, since I cannot get them out of the list and Coda Works, I have to give everything to you.
Okay,
That's why I have to give you duplicates in this
Yeah,
case.
just give them one.
okay.
It's basically,
Well, that's what
I guess,
was
basically
happening.
when we're scoring and they don't have it, you just disqualifying them. Just point them, listen.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have that, so I can't give you, we can't give them 0. They won't let you give them 0.
Yeah, it wasn't an option to do it.
Right, so you just put one, just.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had the same concern, and, you know, it's not that important that they didn't submit referrals or budget at this point, because we are still figuring out with the qualifications. And I wanted to make a motion to remove some of the criteria at this phase, and for everybody to not count those points. And the reason why, because if you look who got up because of not submitting references, we have many talented artists below, and we have many artists who are not that great up just because of the references or budget or timeline, which is basically just details for the project. So that's why my proposal is for the first phase to remove some of not that important criteria and see at the creativity, quality of the previous work, rather than all those details about their past. And then we can also see if they are following the rules and all the rest.
But the RFP.
A lot of them not
already
following
had
the
the detail, requirements of what they were supposed to submit.
RFQ is for
Right,
qualifications.
A lot of them are not following the rules when
They're not.
they're not, period, because if they're supposed to, put a resume and they put no resume,
Well, the
you're not,
resume-
they're going against the rules.
A resume, yes, they could submit it, but many of them haven't submitted proposal yet, and some did. So it's hard to evaluate all those criteria that are asking you about the quality of proposal if there is no proposal. So we just put one, yeah. But if you look at their past work, they may be really great artists, and we just
But
exclude them.
if they want the project, seems to me they would take the time to submit a proposal.
Exactly.
But otherwise, we're just scoring on the reputation.
I agree, totally.
I agree with.
Agreed.
If they're
How
not.
can you judge their art if you have nothing to compare it to? It's very difficult. Anybody can say they're an artist, but
I would look at the past work first of all, and how they describe it in their cover letter, how they see it, because some artists did say how they see the project, and some said that they submitted some direct materials. I saw comments about, keep in mind that I submitted other materials through email, so they haven't submitted it through the Coda work. So it's already something they did send, but we are not able
But
to
I didn't
see.
even see it in the
I
share
completely
file.
agree. I completely agree with Irina about this.
Okay.
So I sent over everything I received, so if they did not email me, it was not there. So some of them did not comply. So in that case, we cannot take criteria away, only because this is how it was advertised by state tax, by law. We cannot just, at this point in time, we cannot take any criteria away. I mean, it may be something to look at in future projects, but right now, even with, for the West Lawn, we can't change it.
I also wanted to clarify, if I could, I wanted to clarify that the ratings, one up in numbers, one was the best rating and the higher numbers was the worst rating. I wanted to clarify.
No, one was saying 0,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the worst, and 10 was the
The
best. And I think some went all up to like
25.
25, mm-hmm.
Well, I would say for the people who submitted just like 2 pictures of previous work, a general letter, and the resume, I personally gave those people 0. And I didn't put 1, I actually left it blank, and in the comments put 0, and at the end it totaled it to 0.
Okay.
That's how I did it.
Well, it already changes the score, because others of us put 1 because they couldn't put 0.
I put 1 because I didn't see
Right.
0 in the drop down, but.
So
But she said that we couldn't put 0.
Exactly. So in this
she
case,
could, you think
Yeah,
you did.
follow instructions.
so I guess we're all in agreement that we are
Application
not
101,
follow
follow
instructions.
Yeah.
that's don't, you know, and she said you can't put zero, so I like, oh, okay.
Now, some artists did not submit proposal at this moment. Don't you think they might be confused that we are asking it from them? Because it's called RFQ. RFQ is request for qualification, means that you just show what you're qualified for, like what is your past experience. You don't necessarily have to submit the sketch yet.
Then that means they didn't read the instructions.
Well, that one applicant said that he felt it was insulting that we asked him to even come up with something, because to come up with something
Takes time.
takes time, and he should be compensated with coming up with something. So that might be how he feels, but this
Then
is
why
our
apply?
process.
Why apply?
That's kind of how I feel. But I understand, I mean, it takes time, but what does the call say? Can we just review what the call says?
Yeah, let's do that.
But, let me see. So basically, what the document says, it explains the background information. It gives a scope of what the, project is about and what we want in it. That's project details, but it explains the budget. It gives a list of things that they need. Did I put that out in there for you? I think it was uploaded into the, yeah, I thought so too. I'm not so sure now. So, and there's a place in there that says proposal requirements. And that proposal requirements list, it gives them, the list of resume, of course, their contact information, their proposal, timeline, a budget. So it asks for everything. It really does.
Did you have to upload, just so I understand technical, did you have to upload the CV and proposal, everything manually through the platform to show up for us, like each of the artists, or is automatic process? How does it work?
In this process, it's just very weird. So part of the instructions actually say to put everything in just one PDF. It actually does. In this case, CodaWorks just gave them the chance to upload either a letter of interest or a resume. We also gave them the chance to, hey, any supplemental information that you need to give us to it, just email it to my email. So they had that chance. And that's why when I downloaded everything, I sent everything to the share file so you guys could all see it. So you guys saw everything that I had.
Because I looked in the share file as well as the,
Now,
and
what I
there was a lot of missing information, you know, in the share file stuff.
So not every artist, submitted everything that they had to. And it's not, I cannot say that it's not uncommon, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. And I know why. It's because they don't want to waste their time, because they're not sure if they're going to win, and it's obvious. And some of the, if you notice, some of the calls, or we have two calls, we have several artists submitting absolutely the same material to both calls. If they do not even change cover letter or anything, which is also not a good sign to me, you know, it's just they're sending everywhere, not for our call specifically. And one more question I wanted to ask you is about criteria about maintenance, which confused me, because I, for example, know murals very well, right? I know how much they normally last, if you use one paint or another paint, but I don't know anything about metal sculptures or mosaic, you know, and I thought maybe we should have a discussion of what we expect from the maintenance, what is considered to be the most durable for us, what is the least durable for us, so we were at least on the same page evaluating those artists on this criteria.
I don't understand.
So,
Wait a minute.
that they're doing paper mache, and so that would work out so great outside, but bronze would work out great
Okay,
outside.
but she's saying the maintenance, so if you're saying the maintenance.
Yeah, so this is criteria. Work will be long-lasting, require minimum maintenance, and resist tampering. So I don't know about all the media. That's why I thought it's good if we know what we are looking for.
She's saying that she
That was
doesn't know.
more for the sculpture.
Right. Yeah.
The sculpture.
But
also-
usually most artists, you know, if they're a metal, you know, iron worker or metal, they'll put that in their proposal. when it
Yes,
comes
but
down to
I don't know, there's like sculptures out of metal, some of them of resin, some of them are tile, and I don't know which one is the most durable and how to evaluate them.
How to grade them?
Yeah, is it 12? Is it 9? And it makes a difference if you put all those artists together.
So you
I
want the
totally
artist,
hear that.
I want us to understand, to be at least on the same page. Like this is with one or zero scoring. It already changes the score if somebody puts 1 instead of 0 or vice versa. And here, if I think that mural is not durable because I know it's up to 5 years normally to really look good, you know. But for sculpture, I don't know, maybe 10 years, maybe more. But we also have calls for both. We have calls for a mural and for a sculpture. And how in this case we are going to evaluate artists are different in the media. Normally artists who paint murals, they don't know how to do sculptures. And those who do sculptures don't paint murals. How do we put it together?
I do both.
You are more geniuses.
And we did have a comment.
When I think.
But you know, I also think we have to look at, if you're gonna say it like that, whoever the artist is, have to also be able to put that in their proposal because of the weather. Because what sculpture that, we're below sea level. So by below sea level, certain sculpture, regardless if it's metal, stone, or whatever, the duration of it is not as gonna be as the same if it was in New York or Alaska. So I think whoever the artist is, they, on the proposal, they would have to understand the weather and put it in their proposal when it comes down to the maintenance. But I understand what you're saying, if I'm right. You're saying that we, as the judge, should understand the duration of the
difference,
sculpture.
at least the difference between media. Resin, you know, copper, whatever they use, there are several different options. I saw very great proposals for the wood. I don't know how wood lasts outside in Florida compared to metal.
Not very long.
I think that's, okay,
No.
the diversity of us being diverse, because
The
we're not
media.
all gonna like the same thing or something, but we had a comment, so.
We did, so in reference to the insult, and no disrespect, how is it insulting when filling out these forms are equivalent to filling out a job application before employment? No one gets compensation for that time. That was, our newest member, Sarah, she's our new
Hi,
alternate
Sarah.
member.
Well, you know.
I agree totally. I personally never apply to this call. No, because there is a very low chance. If somebody tells me, Arina, there is a good call, would you like to apply? I may consider it, but otherwise no, because it takes too much time. You really have to put all your creativity, your brain to think, what can I do this, how I can, what media, put it in the budget. It takes an incredible amount of time. And others are not compensated. That's why the best practice suggests to first do REFIQ to see qualifications, who are the artists, show me your work. That says 100 words, you know what is the password. And then you want to see them that they are compliant with all the other rules, but we want to see who are the talented artists first. It's in my opinion.
I'm gonna vote according to if they met all the criteria. I don't care if pickup sticks, you know. If they're sculptures pickup sticks, do they meet all the criteria? Because that's what counts.
Yeah, I understand that. We definitely have to see that they are capable to work with our rules and regulations and criteria. But at the first phase, I think it's the most important to see who is the artist and make the process easier for them to apply. Because if it's too complex, they would just skip it because they don't want to do budget, timeline, and everything at the first phase.
They don't want the job.
Of course, because they're invited directly. They have many other projects.
Yeah.
And only those artists who don't have, they would then sit down and write it all because they have nothing else to do. Or another option is they already have it. They just send it everywhere.
Well, I think, for this one, we have to stick with what the rules are because we've already put the call out. But we definitely can look at some of your concerns for the next time we do this. But I still believe that if we put a call out, that if they want the project, they should bid on it like anybody else.
So basically, also what she's saying is that, the next time, so for us to be all on the same page, maybe we need a workshop so this way we all can have, some, crash course in looking at things and understanding how they're mechanically put together.
Okay, that's
That's basically
great,
what she's saying,
especially
and
for
then,
more public art
and
projects.
then plus, I'm thinking that she's also trying to explain that, the things should be separated. Everything should have its own category. Like all the murals together, all the sculpture, together.
Right.
If you get that, we're gonna, if I wanna be part of it. And there's a great idea.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit,
All
like,
right.
which ones are just murals, which ones are just sculptures, which ones are doing
Well, I just
both
kind
of
of
them.
figured it out as I was gonna went through.
So what I'm gonna be passing on, and then I'll be emailing to those on the Zoom call, is what I came up with today
We have
for-
another citizen comment. real
Oh,
quick.
I'm sorry.
You had something to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking about filling out, these applications and these calls for artists and stuff. Maybe you can have, cause it is a lot of time doing budgets, doing all the other technical stuff, and you really wanna get it right. So maybe you can have, the first process is evaluating the art, the actual art, and then the second process is budget and everything else. Have it like in 2 pages, so you will know this person's a great artist, fantastic artist, right? That separates them from the other pool of thing, and then the next phase is the budgetary type stuff.
Yes,
Have it in 2 phases.
yes, that's how it works. Americans for the Arts recommend this, procedure. Like first you have FAQ, then you have, others, but they also suggest paying artists for the designs. Like you select 3 of them, you pay them for the design, and then they take time to work hard on it. And
Or you can just put in your instructions, you limit how many words, how many pages, how many, so you will only get, whatever they gotta do, describe what they're doing, is in like 100 words or 1 page. You won't get a whole
I
bunch of,
still like that.
a whole bunch of stuff.
Sketch idea,
You
giving
just
me an answer of what
limit
you're
the
gonna.
volume of stuff you can get just by putting that in the instructions, 1 page only, 500 words or less, that kind of thing. That'll limit all of that, the volume of stuff. Everybody's on the same page, and then just stick to whatever you say in that call, that's what you have to, because somebody like me who's applying, I'm gonna look at the instructions and do everything they say do, because that's part of the application process. And if you don't follow that, that automatically disqualifies you. That's how I look.
so then if we, have artists who did not submit proposal, we should just put one to all this that is related to the proposal
If
question?
they didn't have the proposals, they didn't have the resume, they
We
didn't
can't say
have.
anything.
They didn't
The
apply. If they
budget,
don't have the
they-
proposal, they didn't apply.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. The only thing that she said that we can't put 0.
Yeah, we can put one, and we can all agree, just, go ahead with one, if we can do 0.
That we can't put 0. If she said we put 0, we have to have a discussion.
Yeah.
See?
And this is, and if they didn't submit anything, of course, it's a good valid, reason to put a 0 on it. But I'm required to have you guys do a discussion on it.
Okay, all right, so you passed this out to us.
Okay, so, I just passed out the scoring criteria for 974 and 975. So you have all of the artists on the top, and on the left side, you have all of the criteria. I try to make it that everything fit in 1 page, so you guys didn't have to, stumble around a bunch of pages or anything like that. I will try to email it out or send it to Tina or, so everyone can have it as well. So the idea is that you can fill this out in pencil, because whenever you come back with your actual scores, you actually have a chance to change your score. So if you blank out, let's give someone a 0, well, then you can do that, but you have to have a written explanation and have the discussion as well.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, guys. So this is actually, I'm glad we had this conversation. So I'm assuming that no one likes total work. It doesn't work.
So how about cafe? Do you think that would be easier to work with cafe?
With what?
Cafe.
Well, I haven't tried Cafe as an evaluator, I've only tried Cafe as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
so I really can't tell you how it will work. I can look into it, but,
Yeah, just to compare, I do have the decks, the proposal. If you want, I can forward it to Gina, so you could see this information already. I mean, the pricing and everything, but I just don't know how it is in experience because I have never had this. I have not the calls.
how it works as a system, really, no. The customer service is great, I mean, they have been very patient with me, and on the phone and on the email, but clearly it does not, at this moment in time, maybe in the future, whenever they get their bugs down.
So like the scores that we put there, it's all gone, like we can't see them, what we put in.
I actually have to call, to have them email me a detailed report. So it only gives me a full-on report, on my side of all the scores. So I actually have to email the vendor for them to have given me the detailed scores. But whenever I try to transpose into Excel, it's just not viable.
Well, thank you.
No problem. So next we have the CPA for outdoor artwork for the West Lawn for the county administration building. Oh my goodness, I think I jumped the gun. I'm so sorry, you're supposed to.
No, you're right.
No, that's it.
But you know, before you do that, we do have a new board member, so can we like say hi to Sarah?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello?
Oh, she's
And we should know, did she leave?
No, she's here, she's just, I don't know if she. Sarah,
Had
do
to
you
step
wanna-
away for a second. Sorry about that.
Say something?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
She's
Evening
unmuted,
to you.
but I don't know that we can hear her.
Okay, so we'll move right on into item number 5. West Lawn.
All right, so we have the CPA for the West Lawn for the county administration building. That's this page right here. Oh, and real quick, Cindy and Alan, you guys can leave if you would like to.
I'll give you,
So see y'all
Okay.
next month, and
Thank you.
we'll send you the email with, the manual score
I'll
sheet.
give you a call back,
Great,
Okay?
great.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me know.
Thanks.
Oh, you can do that, thank you. So
Okay.
this one, was advertised on December 12th of 2020. It opened on,
Yeah.
or it closed on February
Excellent.
9th, and we have received 18 submittals, which I am actually very, very proud of.
I did.
So
If you're
remember
done with
that
that,
there
I'll
is a
send
tone of
you.
silence right now in effect. There is you should not discuss this project with your fellow committee members, with any artist that has submitted a proposal, or anyone representing an artist that has submitted a proposal. If you're contacted by any of the above, please refer them to me, and I will deal with their questions directly. Evaluator's disclosure statement, also known as the conflict of interest form. It's already uploaded on the share file, so please send that over to me before we go to the score. This case on April 4th. So the evaluation, this stage considers information submitted by each of the artists. Technical qualifications are written. A total of 100 points is obtainable, and the evaluation form shall be completed in accordance with the following guidelines. And they are basically the same evaluation factors that we have to use. If in the future we have any type of conversation of changing these criteria, then of course I will have to change it here, but it will have to be done before we advertise the new call to artists. So you may modify your score as a result of having a discussion here in the public meeting. Of course, submit a score for each evaluation criteria. And of course, what we were just discussing about the evaluation of 0. You must have a discussion and a written explanation as to why you're scoring a 0 to your artist. This is just that it's non-responsive. And of course, please submit your scoring on April 4th, 2021, or by April 4th. Feel good?
Good.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, they always go so quickly.
Okay, item number,
Oh, wait, because now I need to give you the scoring for this one.
Okay.
which I will also be emailing out. Thank you. And as always, I'm always reachable by email. Here you go, miss.
Thank you.
No problem. Let's do this.
All right, moving now to item number 6, Alachua County Talk, with the focus on art and arts council Facebook page discussion. Ms. Dean.
So, Mark Sexton is supposed to be joining the, meeting, and he is not on right this second, so I texted him, so maybe we could skip.
Okay,
And Mr. Harris is also not on.
not, okay. What about Mr. Gabbard?
Mr. Gabbard, he is on.
Okay, so if it's okay with you guys, we'll go down to item number 8, Our Town Grant, discussion by Paul Gabbard.
Hi, I'm here. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm here. That's me. I'm ready. You ready?
I can hear you. I don't know if everybody else can
And,
hear you.
Mr. Gabbard, are you there?
One person can hear me. I'm here.
I think he's trying to-
Sarah can hear me. I'm here. I'm talking. Somebody can hear me. Can you guys hear me in the conference room?
So you're not muted, but we cannot hear you.
Tell me you, pull the sound up on his actual computer.
You may need to turn the volume
Well-
up on your actual computer.
It's all the way. Sarah can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you really well.
It's you guys. I don't think it's me. I think it might be you guys.
Can you do the?
I'm talking. Anyone?
He's not muted.
That has happened to me, like, I'm not muted on the screen in the Zoom, but my own computer is off, the sound is off, so I had to go over there and like, oh, pull it up.
Or, you might want to do test, it's like audio test, there's,
I'm talking. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you, and Sarah can hear you, so it's like us online can hear you.
Mute and unmute button, maybe if you click
Okay.
on that, you can try and test.
I'm
it.
having more
Microphone
difficulty
is way
hearing,
down.
from the meeting room.
Yep.
I think there are some additional options if he opens the window, there's like test your audio and test your, and if he does that, it should and change the setting there.
Or you
I'm
just,
talking.
How about if you call my cell phone, Paul, and I just put you on speaker?
Yeah.
We can.
My number is
Old-fashioned way.
352.
Huh?
Let me know when you're ready, 352. 538.
Okay.
8265.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just put them in the middle of the table.
Say it again. I 26 what? I didn't get that. I didn't get that. 352 538.
Okay, well, I don't know if I'm gonna do this justice. You want me to kind of go down your presentation, because I did upload it.
Eight two six five, Paul. That's
352.
Venus cell. 8265. I don't know if that she was giving earlier, but that's Gina.
Okay.
Hi. Can you hear me?
yes. Yeah, cut yours off. Or you could.
Well, now
I
that
can
now
hear you a little bit.
are we good? Should I go? Okay. Now the next thing is PowerPoint. Can we get the PowerPoint up, or is that asking too much? Hey, look at that. We got a PowerPoint. Okay.
Yeah.
Smooth. Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. So I'm here to kind of present an idea. This is still very much in an idea phase. So we don't have any kind of, we're not at a point where if you want to go to the next slide, please. Great. So the National Endowment for the Arts, Our Town, is a creative placemaking grant program. Through project-based funding, the NEA supports grants that integrate arts, culture, and design activities into the efforts to strengthen the community by advancing local economy, physical, and social outcomes. Basically, the idea is using the art to help build our community in other ways. Projects include things like artist residencies, temporary arts, public arts, cultural planning, creative asset mapping, designs for cultural facilities, professional development, lots of different options. Next slide, please. So before we go any further, I want to put out this disclaimer. If you pull up the current website, you'll see that the information on this website is for the 2020 deadline, okay? And for the programming for 2021. So what I've been doing is using that as a guide. We are looking to apply, okay, in August of 2021 for the 2022 programming. So the information that we're using is solely as a guide. We're not quite there yet. Okay. We're still kind of using this as a guide in order to try and build a program, and then looking to apply in August of 2021. I want to put that disclaimer out there. I'm one of those people who likes to be ahead of the game. I like to pre-think about things. I'm not one of those people who likes to see the grant application and then jump on it right there. I like to kind of try and be ahead of the game. Also, because I know that, this grant involves county government, and I know that sometimes county government can move slowly. So I'm trying to kind of really be ahead of the game here. Start looking at this now so that we can put together a really strong application in August of 2021. That's my plan. Okay. Any questions so far? If you want to type questions in the chat, that's probably the best option, because I can see the chat pretty well. Or you can shout them out over Gina's phone. Okay, so the grant right now, is described on the website. Okay, amounts are $25,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $15,000. Okay. The grant deadlines, as I said, are going to be published in April of 2021. So within about a month, we will see the grant applications with all the guidelines and stuff. Okay. This grant does require a match. So whatever we look to apply for, we will have to match. But with that match, that match can be done in kind, and the match does not have to be secured at the time of the award. So we would have time to figure out what that match is to secure that match. It does not have to be given at the time of the award. The requirements, and one of the reasons why I'm here in front of you guys, is that this grant requires a partnership between a nonprofit and a government entity, such as Alachua County, and why not theater. So in order for this grant to be successful, we've got to have buy-in from the Alachua County Commission and the Alachua County Management and you got and this organization. And then the application deadline of 2021. So that's the kind of guidelines about what the grant is. Now I want to present to you guys kind of my proposal of what I envision we would apply for this. Next slide, please. So this is what I would like to propose for this grant. So what I would propose is that Why Not Theater, my nonprofit, would like to create a residency program that pairs individual artists of any discipline, visual arts, dance, theater, literary arts, graphic arts, whatever, okay? Puts together, pairs these individual artists with minority, BIPOC business owners in Alachua County for 6 months. Pairs them together. During that 6-month period, the artist and the business owner work together, determine their goals, figure out kind of how they can work together to build educational, physical, social, and financial benefits for the business, the artist, and the community. I'm hesitant to kind of put specifics about what those goals would be, because in my vision, the artist and the business should come to those goals by themselves. They will have guidance, but instead of saying, hey, you have to create a logo, or hey, you have to create a performance, I would envision this program as something where they work collaboratively to kind of put those together themselves. That's kind of the basic overview. Next slide. Oh, questions?
Yeah, on this page, how would you pay those artists with businesses? How would you select businesses and artists? And do artists also have to be a Black, Indigenous, or something about the businesses?
I don't know the answer to that question yet. Those are questions that I have myself. So those are very good questions that I have not quite figured out yet. That's still in the works, but good questions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that the name of the grant?
What is the title of the grant?
The grant program is called Our Town.
Okay, you said Our Town, but then you said grant for Black.
Our proposal, the proposal that we are putting forth, is this idea of minority and BIPOC small business owners. That's our proposal. So that's the proposal that we're putting forth. The grant itself doesn't have anything to do with that. That's our proposal for the grant.
So it doesn't depend on minority.
The grant itself does not require, no. The Our Town grant is not specific to minorities. No. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So more specifics about our proposal. So our proposal, this is, once again, this is still up for discussion. None of this is concrete, but our proposal would be from January to July. The approximated budget would be $50,000 total for one artist. I'm interested in doing more than one artist, but that's kind of an approximated budget. And that, once again, that's $50,000 with a match. So, $50,000 would be, half of it would be the grant, and then half of it would be from a matching amount. And then we're looking at, potential partners such as the Chamber of Commerce, the UF Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship. We're looking at other potential partners like Visit Gainesville. We're looking at potential partners like the Gainesville Black Professionals. These are some of the potential partners that we're looking at. I've had some dialogues with the Gainesville Black Professionals. I've had some dialogue with Visit Gainesville. I have a meeting next week with the Chamber of Commerce. So we're moving in that direction. We don't have anything concrete yet, but we're kind of moving in that direction. And then in terms of funding, which I know is always a big issue, there are potential opportunities for funding. The organization called South Arts has a grant that is very much in line with the same idea. There maybe is possibility for economic business development organizations, and I don't know, but there also might be some opportunities from smaller cities like Newberry, Hawthorne, Archer, might be interested in something like this if we align it with this idea of business development. So those are some of the kind of proposals.
Hey,
and then
Junior,
this
can
is,
you all hear me?
This is more some specifics here, kind of what this program would involve. Someone, should I keep going? Okay, I'm gonna keep
Can you
going.
all hear me?
Okay, so
Hello?
I hear you, Mark Sexton. How you doing?
Okay,
I hear
okay,
you.
good. Hey,
Okay.
I am so sorry, guys. I've been in my car and I've been trying to get into the meeting. I finally got in through my phone. So I just wanted to let you all know I was here. I don't know if we've already missed the social media part of this. If so, I apologize. If not, I'm here. And I'm so sorry to interrupt your presentation. I just didn't know if I could be heard. So thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna keep trudging along. So the artists with this Our Town grant would be compensated. That's an important part of Why Not Theater's mission. So they would be compensated, $18 an hour, 20 hours per week during that period. The artist, hopefully, this is tentative, but hopefully would also get a membership to the Chamber of Commerce. The artist would also get training from the Chamber of Commerce on business development. The artist would also get training on community building from an outside consultant. The artist would also get multiple opportunities to promote their work. The artist would get $2,000 for creative supplies. And then the artist would also have some type of capstone project, presentation, performance at the end of the residency. The business would get $2,000 for participating in the business as kind of a fee / stipend / award. They also get training from the Chamber of Commerce, training in community building, creative placemaking, etc. And then opportunities would have the opportunity to lay groundwork for change, cross-cultural experience, advancing local economy, bringing new attention, elevating the keys of community assets, and inject new and additional energy and resources, active people, and enthusiasm into their place of business. And then the next slide is what I'm calling curiosity, or these are questions that I still have, things that we haven't quite answered yet. Some of these are things that Arena had brought up already. What's the process for selecting the artist in business? Not quite sure yet. That's still something that we're not sure, would love some input on. The next question is that I would like to find a professional grant writer to help with this, because this is an NEA national level grant and it's going to be very competitive. So we need someone who really, really is good at this to help us support this process. I mean, I've done some grant writing, but we really need an expert, I think, if we're going to be competitive with this, because it is at the national level. Another thing that I'm curious about is how do we ensure that the people that we're serving are a part of the project business. I need to make sure that we have business owners, we have artists, we have community leaders that are a part of kind of creating this proposal, so that their voice is heard about how this is going to relate to their mission. The other thing that I need input on, or I'm curious about, is if we're going to get county support, what area of the county does this fall under? Is this cultural diversity? Is this economic development? Who is going to kind of supersede this? Is this under Visit Gainesville? Like what area, where would this fall, and who would be involved in this besides this group? And then other questions about how do we make this sustainable after the grant is over? And then the last question is something that Arena already brought up, is should the program have a minority requirement for the artist in addition to a minority requirement for the business?
Are you okay?
That's something I'm kind of going back and forth with. I'm not sure about that.
I think it's the most important question that asked by said the minority, then the first thing you should know is how many minorities are in business or artists that you want to benefit, and then from that, you would calculate how much you need for RCC and all the rest. Or if you have the budget and you calculate how much you want to pay the artist, then you can see how many businesses you can benefit, then you will see how many of them we have here in Hazel or Alachua.
Okay. Well, the next step is gather information from minority businesses. So yeah, getting information about, which minority businesses would be interested in this, like what kind of service they would, like what kind of artists they would want to interact with, and that would be important. And then I think that's the next step, I think, for me. And then figuring out, confirming, these partnerships. We have these people that are kind of interested in being partners, but not really nailed down to yes, I'm going to be a partner. But we need to kind of get some nailed down to yes, I'm excited about this. And then we need to design a program that is competitive and has everyone involved. Once again, if we're applying for an NEA grant, I think we need to have a very competitive grant application. And then in April is when the guidelines come out. So in April, we'll have a better sense of specifically what we have. So, and Arena, to answer your question, I do have I have line items about kind of, cost for one artist, but I don't know if we're, I don't know if we want to do one artist or two artists or three artists or four artists, or I think that's going to depend a lot upon what our funds are and how interested, the county is in funding this,
I just have one more question.
Sure.
Can you bring an example of a business and an artist, a barber shop or a cafe, and what kind of artist and how they could actually work together, just to visualize it?
Good. That's a good question. Well, there's a model of this that works in Atlanta with a group called C4 in Atlanta, which is an arts group that I've kind of used as a model. And I was just kind of spending time with C4, and they presented some pieces. Now, some examples would be the fact that they had a barber shop and they did performances of spoken word pieces at the barber shop to bring people in. They also, at this barber shop, they also had a graphic artist who helped with kind of some rebranding of logos. And then there was also another right next to the barber shop. They also had kind of a small restaurant. And at that small restaurant, they did a mural inside the restaurant. That's another option. Another option is this idea of kind of helping to kind of tell the story of that small business. That's a real important part of this cultural placemaking, is kind of telling the story about how that business came about. So, so documenting the story of that business and the people who kind of created that business through images, through video, and kind of creating a video montage or story about kind of what how that business came to be. So there's.
Thank you. That sounds cool. Great.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So would Why Not Theater be the administrating organization of this?
At this point, yes, that's what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning Why Not Theater will be paid as kind of the grant administrator. Yes.
Okay. Now, Why Not Theater currently gets a grant from Visit Gainesville, Alachua County, correct?
No.
Oh, you have not applied under the Arts, Nature, Culture program?
No.
Well, are you a 501c3? You're a nonprofit?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that might be the ideal place for this. And actually, the grant cycle starts later in the spring, I think, or early summer. That would be a natural place if it's you are an arts institution, you're a nonprofit, so you're in Alachua County, so you meet those basic guidelines for an arts, nature, culture grant. So I would suggest, if you haven't already, that you get a copy of that grant from Jessica over at Visit Gainesville, Alachua County. That might fall neatly into place for a program like this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I had a comment, so I had a couple of one question, and then two questions, and then one statement.
Mhm.
The first question I had was, I'm confused. Initially in your presentation, you said that the grant was $50,000, and that was for one artist. But then later, you further in your presentation, you said pay artists $18 an hour. So is it, where is that money? Because the first one you said was $50,000.
Yeah, for one artist, the total, if we were to have one artist in the program, so say we have one artist in the program, and the total cost of that program would be $50,000, which would include compensating that artist, that $18 an hour. It would include providing funding for the business. It would include paying a grant coordinator. It would also include the providing funding for the artist for supplies. So does that make sense? So the $50,000 would be the overall amount for having one artist. Does that make sense?
And
well, that's a good question. Paul Gabbard lives in Hawthorne in Putnam County, but Why Not Theater? Why Not Theater has our post office box, and our 501c3 status and all of our tax information is based out of Gainesville, Florida.
Okay, that's my question. And then just a statement.
Sure.
Involved in what you're doing versus someone coming into our community and saying, this is what we want to do for you. I would like to hope that you would have African Americans involved and say, this is what we want in our community and in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hello? Can't really hear who's speaking. Hello?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're not able to hear who's speaking. Okay, could you get closer to the mic?
I can barely hear you either, Carol, just so you know.
We hear Paul's voice, but he must have. We hear you, Paul, but that's about it.
Right, that's good.
Okay, they're bringing me the phone closer. Okay, so all I was basically saying is that for me, when we're talking about African American culture and art, business,
I still can't hear her, so I'm gonna leave the meeting. I can't understand what she's talking about.
very good, Miss Betty.
Hello?
Hello?
I can hear both of you, but I can barely hear you, Carol.
I can also barely hear Carol, but I can hear everyone online very well.
And I can't hear I can't hear Carol. This is Terry Bailey. I can't hear Carol. And
Okay, so we're on the main conference phone, so hopefully everybody can hear a little bit better now.
Can you hear me?
This sounds better.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Am I on, Gina?
Paul is shaking his head yes.
And we
Okay.
didn't see Paul's, exhibit.
All right, so to repeat what I was saying about African American culture, to
Okay,
me, it's very important, even more so now, that we have people that look like me, engaged in the process of creating the art and presenting the art versus, so I just wanted to make sure that as you develop this, that you're including people in the decision-making that affects our communities, because, right now, it's such a sensitive topic where we have people that don't look like me coming into our communities and saying, this is what art is, or this is what you need, and this is what I want to do for you. And we also have a lot of artists of color who are also applying for types of projects like this. So if we're going to give this to someone that doesn't look like me, we want to at least make sure when we're using public money that people that look like me are a part of that process. Not just you telling us or you giving us something, but we're actually engaged in it from the ground up. So that's just something I just want to say, and I think I could say that to Paul because Paul is a friend. But I just want to be sensitive because it's a sensitive subject right now about African American literature and culture, and how people that don't look like us are actually making a living off of our work, our stories, our art. So I just want to say that to you, and I know that you understand because we've talked about it, but I just want to publicly say it.
Absolutely.
So Terry
Thank you.
Bailey says, totally agree, Carol.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
yes, and I want to,
Other than that, the other
wanna
thing,
say if you-
I know you were requesting a partnership, and at this point, I wouldn't say that that we should partner, because that means committing to half of $50,000. And I feel like if we told WRUF we're not going to put money into those types of programs, I think we need to be really careful about committing dollars to anything because we don't have the dollars to commit. But we can always support what our artists are doing. Because I know we had the one artist that did the bicycle, the makeshift. We did letters of support. And those are types of things I think that we could do. But we cannot, commit to money because we don't have the money to commit to.
You mean to provide match or something?
To provide match at this point, but I understand he needs the partnership to apply for the grant.
Yeah.
But we as Arts Council can't commit to that.
I think he was talking about other partners like maybe even South Arts, but I'm not sure if you can match grant and grant.
But if
Probably.
you apply for this NEA grant, he has to partner with the government entity. So we're putting ourselves on the line, on the dotted line to commit to something. And that's something I think we may need to look at. That might need to go back to Gina and staff. And definitely the Board of County Commissioners would have to approve that.
Right.
okay,
right.
I have
So
a
if
question.
I may, let me go back to,
This, board felt like a chair letter is the appropriate way to go. Then what I would do is draft something up. I could present it for you as a draft at your April meeting. And if you thought, yes, that sounded good, then I would put it on the Board of County Commissioners' April agenda. It might be May.
Okay.
And then.
So
they can consider
then
that.
before I would commit to a letter to go to the board, I would need to have the council tell me what they feel and what they think. So I would
I just have
literally
one
have to hear
question.
from them.
I have a question.
Paul, what is the difference between Black and people of color?
You're asking me what the difference is, or you asking me what it says in the brief?
Typing.
Yeah, that's right. Just hear him. So, Paul, can you chat?
Can I chat? Yes, I can chat.
Okay, I'll read what you typed. So, the question was, what is the difference between Black and people of color?
Okay.
Any other color?
No,
We're like
African American,
Latino?
Black, no, African Americans are sometimes called people of color.
Yes, that's a good point. But that's how they normally use this abbreviation.
When I see that, that's what I immediately think of. or Native Americans, well,
You got indigenous,
anybody that's not Caucasian.
It's a good question to identify who we are going to benefit, right? Who are those businesses and artists?
right, because like when I write an article to be published in a journal, it don't say African American, it don't say black, we say people of color.
So he says Black, Indigenous people of color, 5 talks.
What is it?
Yeah,
What did
that's
I
what it
mean?
says.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I don't know if you heard that.
I think it's just generally this abbreviation is used to identify the minorities who might be of
Yeah,
color.
but he's repeating, but what I'm trying to say, if he's saying black, then you turn around and say people of color. Are you repeating yourself?
Well, that's a phrase right now. It's called
Oh, yeah.
BIPOC.
It's
I've
not
been seeing
his
that
phrase.
pop up a little bit.
Yes, it's,
Yes.
I would like to say something if you don't mind.
I
Hello?
mean, as a
Hello?
black man, I don't identify as a person of color, I identify as a black man. Black, indigenous people of color is too broad. When you start saying people of color, and especially if you want to do something for the African American community or black community, when you say people of color, that's anybody that's non-white. That could be an Asian person, it could be a Native American person, it could be anybody that's pretty much non-white. That's what that encompasses.
That's just kind of hard,
Yes.
you know, because,
Okay. Ms. Williams? Ms. Faye?
Yes. Yes, I'm confused.
Can't hear you.
I thought we were having a discussion about the proposal. Is that
you
correct?
can write in
Or,
the chat so we could read all.
we've got the speaker all the way up.
Okay, so Ms. Williams, we can't hear you. How about if you chat and I'll read what you say? Oh, somebody else say here.
are you able to hear me now?
She said she
I'm
wants to
writing
have a
down what you
discussion about
asked.
the proposal.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah,
Can you see the chat?
yes, I see the chat.
I
What
hear
you got?
something,
I'm
but it's really
asking,
low.
I mean, we're moving forward as if we
Yeah, it
have
looks
one
like-
proposal. Suppose someone else wanted to make a proposal as well. What is the deadline for submitting a proposal?
Yes, it's broad.
People of color include African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, Native Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern Americans, and multiracial Americans.
So,
When I write, you like,
I've
when
got-
I
I've got a
write,
couple other comments.
articles to be published, you know,
I've got a couple other comments. Can you all hear
it's
me?
more, it's
Can somebody
better to
answer my
say
question first?
people of color.
Can somebody answer my
Um,
questions first?
I mean, I prefer some people, if you writing something for a black person.
But in
But I'm
this
saying
case,
academically, I cannot do that. You understand what I'm just saying? Academically, I can't.
do that. I mean,
Okay, but I don't get published.
I mean, you can.
You can say what, black? You say people of color?
Certain journals won't accept that.
Can you say African
Right, all
American?
right.
African American or
Does
people
anybody
of color.
else have any
Not
other,
black.
anybody else would like to speak on this issue with the presentation with Mr. Gabbard?
Yes, I've got a couple of comments. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
I hear you,
Okay,
Mark.
I have been,
I
I
hear
have been
you,
able to hear,
Mark.
I've been able to hear some of the comments and not others. But from what I heard, I'll just throw out a few things. It's probably not appropriate, but certainly advisory boards don't have funding for a project like this. You know, certainly advisory boards can make recommendations to the county commission.
Where's
but-
the deadline?
More partners.
But it won't give him enough time.
Yeah, the deadline
But
for
the
the
deadline is
application is.
So
trying to
the
be
other
couple of
the other
months
thing,
ahead.
the other thing is anyone
Oh.
can certainly go to the county commission for anything, you know,
Ray is asking
and
for
talk to them.
her
However,
question. Oh, she
in
said
the
she
case,
thought- She thought we were having a discussion about the proposal.
We were.
so
Yeah.
I'm sorry, do I still have the floor?
I like the point that
I hear
there
you,
should be
Mark, but I
people
think the
involved
room
who
can't hear us.
understand.
I think the room can't
Hear
hear
you, Mark.
our
And if it's
that's not in the
residents,
room.
I understand that the requirement
I
for the
agree, Mark. I don't
proposal
know if
is
anyone else
supposed to
does,
be
but I'm just saying.
residents, but maybe it's not necessarily that audits have to travel from other counties. Maybe it can be
Mark, I
something
think
for
that there is
residents
a
at other
problem
locations.
between people in the
For the people
office
that want more Alachua
communicating
County
and then
audits to
those of
work
us
with
online
businesses,
also
right?
communicating and being heard.
I see.
It's like a gap because it sounds like, yeah, I think there's a gap, like a delay. I mean,
So it was you, Gina.
Okay, so we can hear you now through my computer, but I'm gonna have to mute a little bit better. Then they can't hear me.
Okay, we'll just have an echo.
I think would be best if they type text and we could just read somehow.
Some folks don't have access to text or to chat.
Oh, so Terry just said some people don't have access to that.
He wants to apply for this August of this year?
Yes.
Yes.
So would someone like to make a motion that we draft a letter of support for the project? Again, I'm hesitating because I don't think we should, say we're gonna partner on this project.
Collaborate. I want to say collaborate, not partner, collaborate. You're not committed.
I need to hear more council members tell me what they like, so it's not just Carol. What about Christine? Okay, Gina, we submitted a letter to the board saying that we like this project
sorry.
and we support it. Then it's up to the board to decide if they're gonna be a partner, because he needs a partnering organization that's gonna commit either cash or in kind to this project. Or
I
are
was
you
thinking-
just asking us to be the partnering organization just so that he can say he has the county support?
So there's a couple ways we can do it. We can request a letter of support that clearly states that this is not financial support, that we support the idea, we support the application, we
Yes.
like the concept. And then also there could be, the application for the visiting field destination enhancement grant that has affected the project. And that's actually, the funding process.
Okay. Then if we could get someone
That's a good
to
idea.
make a motion that we support this project,
I motion to support the project.
okay? It's a
Second.
I'll second it.
non-monetary
Second.
support, okay. Any further discussion?
Hey, can I make a comment real quick
With the
first?
So, Paul has a
Can
comment.
you guys hear
Okay.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Okay. Let me just put this out there real quick. And I don't want this to come across as like I'm here for money, because I've been in your seats before. I know the process, but let me put this forth to think about also. Okay. I want to emphasize the fact that this is a very, very competitive grant. So if we apply for this grant and we send this to the National Endowment for the Arts and we say, Alachua County, they kind of want to support, but they're not going to give us money. How is the National Endowment for the Arts going to
You
respond
can do a
to that?
fundraiser or apply for the other grant.
right.
So you did hear what you said?
So
Yes.
Yes, we did.
I've got a couple
He
of
can do a
questions.
fundraiser, apply for the other grant, he can match it, even he said in-kind service. In-kind service is also part of a matching grant.
Excuse me, can
So
I,
he can match his grant, 50% of in-kind service.
so may I have the floor for a moment, please?
I hear you, Mark.
Okay, I just want to, is the chair recognizing me?
Yes, the chair's recognizing you.
Okay.
Yes, I recognize you.
Okay, so let me ask some questions and let me kind of complete the whole train of thought here. Paul, when is the grant due?
Well, the application will go, let me say this, it's tentatively August of 2021. Tentatively.
That's
The
that's when you need a commitment for the funding?
Yes, yeah.
By August, okay. And how much of the $50,000 match are you looking for from Alachua County?
Well, it'll be a 50% match. But we're right. It's $50,000 for one artist. So if we just do one artist, it'll be $25,000.
You had mentioned going to the chamber, going to other businesses and things. Are you looking for the entire match from the county, or are you looking for the county to be one contributor to the entire match?
In my eyes, I think the county would be part of the match. I'm not looking for the county to be the entire match, no.
Okay, so let me just tell you kind of some of the challenges that you have. You do have time to put in a grant for the arts, nature, culture operation. One of the challenges you're going to have to get taxpayer dollars, though, is, those grants are based on two most important factors: the size of the budget of the organization requesting it. So I don't know where $25,000 would fit within your, or a fraction of that would fit within your own budget. And then the other major factor determining county funding of arts endeavors is the number of people served. So if you're serving one person and one business, and a fairly large portion of this is the administrative fee, not the fee going to the artist, that's not going to be seen as a lot of bang for the buck when it comes to supporting institutions. And there are institutions that have been around for a long, long time that are not getting $25,000. So you've got some hurdles there, but if this kind of recommendation comes from this board to the county commission, I suspect the first thing they're going to do is do a referral to visit Gainesville, Alachua County, and that's where the arts, nature, culture grants are administered from, or individual sponsorships are also possible.
For him to apply for the grant, he has to have this information about match, how he's going to match the part, otherwise it won't be working.
So all I'm saying is it's fine for this organization to support this, but this organization cannot make a commitment on behalf of the county for your grant.
Right. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. Maybe me and you should have a side conversation here. But here's another point that I think is worth noting. Another point that I think is worth noting is that this National Endowment Art Program is for cultural placemaking, which is a larger lens. Cultural placemaking is a larger lens than just cultural placemaking is an economic development lens. Cultural placemaking is a city redevelopment. Cultural placemaking is a tourism lens. So, I mean, I don't know much about this, but, I know that the city has a department of has a department of economic development. I mean, I know that the county has some kind of economic development funding. So, I mean, that's kind of my thought process is if we can maybe go through another department that has a way of saying, hey, this is about building up our county. That's one reason why I was looking at, hey, maybe the mayor of Hawthorne with this, because it builds up the city, it builds up the county. It's not just about arts. That's kind of my thought process.
I understand that. You just have to, I just want you to be aware as you're going through this and navigating through this process that for a $25,000 or a portion thereof, for it to be an economic development kind of challenge that you're making, or argument you're making. Argument's the wrong word for the arts, but you are going to show one artist working for one business and an administrative cost is going to create an economic development that makes the economic development bang for the buck worth a $25,000 investment. That's a challenge.
We'll get the money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's all I
trying
can
to
say.
carefully. I don't want to be offensive either, but that's all I can
Thank you very much.
That's why.
It's more like you have a grant opportunity, and then you write the grant to match this opportunity. That's why the grants are given more to minorities nowadays, which is great. And I don't see it as a bad thing if we just coordinate it correctly, right? If we at least, it's good that he came
Come in,
to us.
approach it right.
Yeah, at least as the board, we could give advice how to manage it, right?
You guys, the reason I came here first was, the reason I'm here, well, the reason I'm here is twofold. Number one is because I've already sent this to county commissioners. I sent this to the entire county commission. I didn't get any response, which is like, that's not an attack. They're busy people. So I already sent it to them and didn't get a response. And I also was trying to plan ahead because I didn't want to go to the county commission and have them respond, oh, go to the arts. That was my thought process, was I wanted to go to you guys first because I wanted to kind of supersede that. And I didn't want them to go to the county commission, their response be, oh, you need to go talk to the Arts Council. So that's kind of why
I don't know if you heard what
I'm
he
here.
said, but, he had already emailed the county commission, however, he did not receive a response, but he was concerned that they would basically refer the recommendation back to the Arts Council for a recommendation. So that's why he came here.
Hey,
But
Gina,
we do have a motion on the table, so we have the originator of the motion and a second.
So, if we could go ahead, Queen, can you repeat your motion or the motion, please?
You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Chico and Gazi made a motion to provide a non-monetary letter of support for the concept and recommend he apply for a destination enhancement grant. Irina, Passion of Big Bus, seconded.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your input.
And just so I'm clear, we'll have the draft letter on your April agenda for review first?
Yes,
Okay.
okay, then I'll sign it. Okay, thank you. All
So,
right.
Mark Sexton is on the line.
Okay, so now we're going to move back up to item 6 for Alachua County Talk Focus with Mr. Mark Sexton. He's the Director of Communications for the county.
Can you put him on speaker so we can hear him?
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
And let's see if we get feedback.
I can hear you. I'm Christine. I can hear you. I've heard you the whole time.
All right. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse.
We can hear you.
Okay.
It's been great.
So, and I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear, is this the social media discussion or the?
Yes, the arts focus talk and social media.
Okay, so it's my understanding that this entity has discussed perhaps a strong social media presence and also discussed focusing on arts organizations and artists in some of the interview programming that we do, that we produce from the county's communications office. So I think that's an excellent idea. We have been, our production has been a little slowed down in the middle of the pandemic, but we, my staff is getting ready to ramp Alachua County Talks back up, which is a kind of a deep dive 28-minute interview show that we do, that we've done for about 16 years. And it has a very good audience, and we have a pretty massive social media presence. Almost 100,000 Facebook viewers, about 15,000 on Twitter, and 5,000 or 6,000 on Instagram. So we fund a lot of the arts, nature, culture groups, so it would make perfect sense that we would highlight those groups on a county-funded program. I have no problem with that, and I would be happy to take recommendations from this group on potential organizations or artists to interview. As far as social media, it's kind of new territory, the idea of an advisory board having their own social media presence. For example, a Facebook site. It's not, I'm sorry, it's not unheard of. There are some advisory boards that kind of cross the lines of typical advisory boards, like the Friends of the Animal Shelter and groups like that. So, you know, I think that you all certainly have a lot of interesting information to share. I think it would be important to remember that as an official county advisory board, that sunshine laws would be in effect. Members couldn't discuss things, you know, under the same post. You would need to make a commitment to keep the material and the postings fresh and frequent. So it's a big responsibility, and if those responsibilities aren't met, social media sites tend to fall flat, and so it's a big commitment, and you know you need to have a very clear responsibilities, and then there's also the matter of everything posted as a public record, and whether it's deleted or not, it becomes a public record, and there is software available that handles that side of it, and there is some cost to that. But those things could probably all be worked out, I think. So I guess I would ask a couple questions. What is it that the Arts Agency is envisioning in terms of the goals or the objective of a social media site?
So one of the things that I'm thinking about, Mark, and you might remember, because we're an advisory board, but we're also the local arts agency, we're looking for a presence for the local arts agency. So if you think about like Marion County Council, they have their posts, they talk about what's going on. We want something where we can talk about what's happening in the county, similar to what happens with the Visit Gainesville site, but yet just pull it out and just really be arts focused, about events, workshops, those kinds of things that the Arts Council is involved. Also, too, the whole purpose is to be able to help our artists and our arts organizations bring more awareness to what's going on in the county. So that was the whole purpose of having the social media page.
And to communicate with us.
Just to so people could communicate with us and we could communicate with them, but let it just really strictly be about the arts in the county.
I see.
Other councils also across the state of Florida has a Facebook page. You know, other cultural affairs council agencies such as ours, they all have a Facebook page, but us.
Yeah, and I think what it is with us is that we're the advisory board, so that's one part of us, but we're also the local arts agency because of that designation.
Yeah.
So that's like almost a separate entity, because you could be a local arts agency and not even be an advisory board. So we need to define that. And if people are coming to us because we're the local arts agency, they're looking for resources on how to apply for grants, how to market. So we're trying to figure out how best to let people know what the local arts agency part of us is.
Okay, makes sense.
We have Mr. Richardson has a question.
Yeah, I would be concerned about sunshine laws. So what I would suggest if you do this, is have one person who's gonna respond, whoever that may be. Just have one person that has the key to comments and everything else, so nobody else can. That'll eliminate that risk of violating the sunshine law. So just have one administrator who can answer all the questions for the public, who put out the information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So, and I've got an idea too.
Yes.
So right now the county has a very robust Facebook following, and I have to defer to Mark, but it's tens of thousands of people. And so my thought is if there's something that we felt was media worthy, that I could very easily just get with him and his staff and say, here's the photo of whatever the thing is. And this is our local arts agency hat, which is, in my opinion, Board County Commissioner directed. It's within our
It's a
purview to
staff
do it.
issue, yeah.
And then it's automatically backed up in the correct software. We don't need to worry about content. It's as things come up. You know, that we have the call to artists. Mark, can you get this out on Facebook? Mark, we just unveiled the new art. We've got a new thing at the whatever gallery, the unveiling of the whatever, so we even work out with our local artists to get information out on them as well. So Mark, do you have any stress about any of that?
I wouldn't say stress.
Just more work.
I would say, there are an enormous amount of nonprofit arts groups in Alachua County, and we cannot operate as the communications, a full service communications department for all of them. Having said that, though, if it's someone that's directly involved with the county, and most arts organizations in Alachua County do get funding from the county commission. And, certainly if there is something that rises to the level of, we think there would be a county, interest, then, certainly we can add that to our mix. But, could we do, on any given day in Alachua County, there might be 20 different things to do from an artistic perspective. Does that mean we're going to do 20 posts on the arts on the county's main site? No, that would give me some stress, particularly when we're putting out information on vaccinations and countering myths of the pandemic. We don't want to do so many posts in any given day that it waters down what is considered the, particularly during a state of emergency. But there could certainly be plenty of room to highlight multiple times in any given week a different interesting arts experience. And, maybe whoever is tasked with getting information to us to highlight, perhaps they could create some sort of rotating calendar so that they make sure that there's some equity in terms of how organizations are highlighted. So it's not just, only the Hippodrome or only Dance Alive or only the Fifth Avenue Festival or only any one thing. And there are some organizations, once they hear we're doing this, they will bombard us with information and say, get it out, get it out, get it out. So
my couple of thoughts on that, Mark,
yeah,
is that Visit Gainesville does do their What's Good. And depending on what it is, that would be an appropriate way to get the word out. And
yeah,
if we want to do the Facebook content, that any arts member at any time can send me the photo and the 2 sentences about what it is. And then we can get the word out that way. And then we don't have the sunshine violations. You guys can share things, but I would not comment on anything because, again, like if Irina sends it to me and then Carol says, well, this is so exciting and I can't wait to talk about it at the next Arts Council meeting, then all of a sudden you both like whatever it is. So you couldn't comment on it just to avoid sunshine violations, but you could both send me content and then I can get it to Mark.
Or you can just push the button in the setting that nobody can post nothing but you.
no, there is
Public comment things though that Mark does allow, the county does allow the public to comment on our Facebook.
and actually it's a misconception. There is no such button in Facebook. You can't turn off. You can't turn off comments in Facebook.
You cannot turn off the comments.
There's a way to hide it from your pages, but it can come back, bite you later. Especially if people do start making comments on other open place comments, unallowed to give reviews, unallowed to say anything. So you gotta be wary of that, because if somebody's not happy with something, they'll start trolling within the comments, and you can't control that.
Well, you know what though? I wouldn't let that worry you too much, and I'll tell you why. We have almost 100,000 Facebook folks, and we get trolled repeatedly. And sometimes we respond, sometimes we don't, depending on what kind of day I'm having.
So you're the witty person who responds. A lot of that's awesome. Whoop, whoop.
Are you offended by my comments or do
No,
you
I
like
laughed.
them? You know, you get the information out, the trolls are gonna do whatever the trolls are gonna do, and I wouldn't even worry about that. You know, so, I mean, if you wanna use it strictly to get information out, you don't even have to monitor the comments. Let the comments do whatever they may and let folks see the information. You know, the thing about us and the What's Good guide though is you can't oversell what these two departments can provide. You know, there's no guarantee that everything that goes to What's Good is going to rise to the level where they think it should go in there. Particularly as a main feature, as you scroll down, there is a thing that shows, you know, different smaller events that are coming up. But you got to remember the primary purpose of What's Good is to kind of get the word out on coming to Alachua County and taking advantage of what's here. So I don't think either site replaces having your own site, but I agree with Gina that we can do an awful lot to get the word out on interesting things going on in Alachua County.
Oh yeah.
And it's a very effective tool when you look at the numbers of both of our sites. But that doesn't mean that everything that someone gets an idea should be posted is going to rise to the level of being posted on our two sites, because you know we have to weigh what should go out on any given day and not crowd the site with too much on any given day. So if we get 10 messages that say there's 10 things happening at different places, you know, unless you consolidate those into one post that talks about all 10, you know, we may not be able to go as far as you all would like us to go with our social media. And it's just, I can't stress this enough. You got to have the post kind of ready to go and then we post it, as opposed to saying, hey, there's an event over here, and then we have to research it and write it and do the who, what, when, where, why. That's what I mean when I say we can't act as the communications department for every arts organization in town.
Right. Quick question. So I know this is my first day in here. So Mark, you handle the communications, the marketing department for Alachua County?
I wouldn't call it the marketing department. I'd call it the communications and legislative affairs department. There is certainly a marketing element to it, but.
Right. Okay. Now, with starting the Facebook and all these other social media apps, are you asking for us as a group to give you all the content packaged, ready to go, to you to post it across the platforms?
I would say it would come to me, and I'm
What
just
was that?
Gina talking.
What was that?
Email it to Gina.
Was that question to me or to Gina?
You would email it to Gina.
Oh.
Okay, the events and all that so forth. Okay, so Gina is going to handle the social media for the council.
Pretty
I
much.
can.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's a delay on my side.
So yes, I could handle and be the clearinghouse, and then that would be sent to Mark Sexton, and I could also just proofread it, make sure that, you know, if I don't have any questions and all the correct information is there. But what I would need from you guys is a photo of whatever it is, because the Facebook posts without photos are kind of eh. And then like two concise sentences about what is it.
All right, I have a social media management certification. So I don't mind stepping in and doing that, funneling it to you, Gina, and having both you and Mark look over it if the council is okay with it. I have 3 years experience in marketing, and using, I don't use Photoshop as much anymore. I'm more of a Canva user, easy to plot, easy to make stuff, dimensions, and roll it out. The main thing I probably would need, if I am selected to take on this task, the main thing I would probably need is for people to get to me the events. and then I could put the stuff together.
You
Is
can't
that helpful?
You cannot get information from the other Arts Council members. That's a sunshine violation.
Oh, okay. See, that's why I asked. Got
Yeah,
you.
so it would honestly be best if, for example, David hears of something out and about and he thinks that this is Facebook worthy, that David would send me the information and then I could get it to Mark. Or if you find something that you think is Facebook worthy, you send it to me, I'll send it to Mark. So it could be a team effort. As we hear of things out and about, we all kind of take on that role.
I'll tell you what the easiest thing is, that the low hanging fruit here is most organizations have their own Facebook page, and many artists have their own Facebook page. So the easiest thing is to say, this is up on the Dance Alive Facebook page, would you share it? And you can even send us a link to the specific post. If you click on a post, and you can copy the URL and email it to Gina, who can look at it and email it to me. And then it's as simple as just sharing something that's already been created.
But pre-done and pre-packaged, and just having Gina and you look over it. And it's not one particular person who does it. It's just, you see this information, you think it's share worthy, put it together and shoot it off to you and Gina.
Yeah.
All right, now I understand. And I apologize for not understanding that beforehand.
So, and I don't mean that any of this replaces having your own social media. I mean, if you wanted to have 10 posts a day on your own social media site, that would certainly be something, you know, that could be explored. I just want to, you know, I have a social media specialist who, you know, a big part of his day is waking up every day and figuring out how to do what we do better on social media. And to do it well is a lot of work. It's just, you know, but if for those who haven't administered a site, if it's going to be successful and done well, it's a lot of work.
It does. I agreed. You have to know what are good times, what your demographics are, what your message is. Be very clear on your message. That's why I was throwing myself out there. Like, if there's anything that I can help with that to collect it and have it packaged for y'all. That's why I was saying it that way. And maybe I said it wrong, but I also didn't understand the whole concept with the sunshine laws as well. And it would look not right. Like, if I understand correctly, it would look favoritism if it's one person doing it. Even though we have our own separate Facebook pages and all this, because I'm thinking along the lines of just the Art Council page, Art Council social media, Art Council website, separate from artists, obviously, right?
So what the issue is, Sarah, is the sunshine law, that as advisory board members, you cannot talk to any of the advisory board members unless it's during a noticed public meeting.
Oh, wow. Even like, so like we cannot talk under the Arts Council. Like, say if I'm under the Arts Council.
So if, for example, you run into somebody at the grocery store, you can say, hey, how's the kids? What are you doing for this weekend? But you can't say, oh, that thing that's on the agenda next week, what do you think about it? Or how are you going to vote?
Got you. That I understand. Okay, that I definitely understand.
And it gets to be a very gray line whenever you're all posting on social media, for example, that's awesome, we're so excited, and those people then apply for a grant from us. And you've already been having conversations about whatever the thing is. So if you see anything post on the arts, be very, very careful about who posts first gets to speak. Nobody else on the council can speak second. That's a sunshine violation.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand more now. And okay, I think I got it. Thank you.
Is there any other questions on this topic from me, or is any other?
Back to the Alachua County talks. When do you think you'll be getting that back up?
We're thinking it will be early April. we're in the middle of the legislative session right now, so
Okay.
I get called to, I have a lot of responsibility right now, and then we have a pandemic on top of that. But the hope is to start it up in early April and then to really start, getting into a regular groove so that we're kind of back to normal, which we normally try to do a couple a month. So that's what we're hoping for. And, if you all want to, as a group, if you have a list that you'd like to give me of people or institutions that you think would make interesting interviews, I'm always open to those suggestions.
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, your port laureate is in the house.
You don't think he's getting enough airtime at the counter?
I know. The camera is following him.
The camera loves him.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere, I don't know if it was a misprint, but it said Gainesville Fine Arts Association is celebrating 100-year anniversary soon.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
Yeah, that would be a good one. I think Stanley would be an excellent interview. I mean, there is so much.
I think he would.
So much resurgent interest in poetry right now that we should take advantage of doing anything we can to keep that rolling.
I don't know if April's too soon, but April is National Poetry Month.
Oh. No, I think that makes perfect sense. And I would get to sit down and just chat with him for half an hour. I love that idea. Yeah, sounds great.
And Terry Bailey suggested Terry Bailey and Travato Maribel.
Nice. All right, any questions, guys, for Mark? Anything else?
Nope.
No.
I'm always available.
Mark, this is Terry Bailey. Mark, this is Terry Bailey. Don't sleep on my poetic talents and the artistic genius of muralist Travato Maribel. Gainesville resident. Don't sleep on it.
Well, you can hang around, Mark.
Don't do what now?
Don't sleep on us. Don't snooze on us. We'll make great interviewees too.
List of things, and we can get it to Mark, and we can get it on the Facebook. I think we should have at least one art something a day come up on that Facebook page. I know he did all the artists that we did the auditorium. I remember that, and we did the sculpture. So maybe all the ones that receive grants, all our mini grant and major grant recipients, those could be some that we could kind of feature them. It'd be kind of cool.
So the work we are doing here actually, right?
Yeah,
Me?
Terry got a grant, we have an interview with Terry, how's it going, how was the process, just what she's doing, it's kind of cool, so we can start with just the people we've given grant monies to. All right, so our next item is number 7.
Oh, Mark has something.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Mark?
If I'm done, I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I'm so sorry I made the mistake of being driving when I was supposed to be in the meeting, and I had all kinds of Zoom issues. So I apologize for that, but thank you for working me in. And I have a little one behind me. I look forward to your suggestions, and I promise I won't snooze on the interviews.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark, wait, before you go, I think we should have our own intern.
Oh, he gone.
Lena, I think we need our own intern. Okay. All right, item 7, City of Alachua, Elliot Harris.
He is not on.
He is not on. Okay, well, we'll skip that.
Put him on the next agenda.
Got it.
Can we do that? Put him on the next
Yeah.
agenda.
All right. Item number 9, strategic plan approval.
Do you have any changes?
This has been just, on the agenda for the past little bit. I've incorporated all of your changes.
So now we just need to,
We need to make a motion if everybody agrees this is it.
so can we get a motion to approve our?
We didn't see it.
Oh, you saw it already.
Yeah, we
Where?
saw it the last time.
It's just, it's not cooperating. Yeah.
Oh, it's not,
Just
okay,
wait.
okay, then don't worry, don't worry,
Just wait.
don't worry. I have a black marker. I can make my own changes.
Okay, so if we can get a motion to approve the strategic plan.
I'm not council member.
David, you wanna make a motion?
Sorry?
You wanna make a motion?
Oh, to approve the strategic plan?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was gonna pull it up, yeah. Cause she already did the edits and stuff last meeting.
Right.
So yes, I move to approve the strategic plan approval.
Thank you. You get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, or
Aye.
signify by saying no. Okay, all right, thank you.
See, you think I'm bad? Look.
Okay, so item 10 has just been with us for months. And so have we made a decision on what we're going to do? Are we gonna apply for funding for
Well,
it?
we don't have any other ideas. I had one, and we were waiting for somebody else to submit something to consider, but I don't know if anybody else has any ideas.
Oh, my bad. I really thought that you was handling it. I did.
I can, but you have to vote for the project. So we were waiting for something else to submit so we could consider other ideas and see if we want to go with something.
Did we say we were gonna send this out to the public for review, for suggestions, did we? No,
No.
we never did.
No.
So I would like to suggest that we at least try to reach to the community and ask them to send us stories, because it's monuments are all about stories. So if we don't know at the moment what the monument will be made of, at least to know what the stories would be, so we could apply briefly to the grant. It doesn't need all the budget timeline as we ask people to do. It only asks a short description of what is the project, what is our aim. So if our aim is to create a monument about people in our community and we collect stories from our people, we already have something to work with.
So how 100-word paragraph will be?
So what I would
sufficient?
think would be great is to release like call to stories instead of call to artists, and everybody in the community can send them story. But the story is about our community, so it can be heroes, it can be something else, whatever you want to say. I don't really want to set any boundaries on the stories. Maybe you want to share about your family, about your some kind of experience, and we will see and try to understand what would be more representative for Alachua County.
And when was our deadline?
There is no deadline.
There's
It's
no
a
deadline.
rolling calendar, but the $250 million, my assumption is every
Yeah.
day they award
It's
more and
shrinking.
more, so yes, it continues.
Because other people are moving faster, so we have to push on it somehow.
Well.
So how about we make a motion to create the call for stories to the community? And even though we don't go ahead with this, the stories from the community would be always of a use for us. We can find out it for other project or something. It's something that we communicate with the community already, right?
I agree.
Yes, I like that.
Does somebody second?
Second.
So Irina makes the motion and Dr. Queen second.
You can call me Dr. Q.
Dr. Q.
The kids call me Dr. N.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to do a call for stories?
Sorry.
This is gonna be really interesting, especially when you put it on your Facebook page.
Yes.
I'll give you a story. Fix the roads.
Christine Larson says hi.
Hi.
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
This is the point. The story can be about something you do not expect.
Yes, that's great. It'd be interesting to read.
So Irina, were you going to develop what the words are that we're gonna advertise to people?
Yeah, so should I send something to you?
If you don't mind, and
Yes.
then, okay, I hate to ask, should I add this then to next month's agenda, or whatever she sends is basically what I send out through Mark Sexton?
I think you just go ahead and send it out.
Yeah, it's just what we just discussed, nothing more than that.
Yeah, whatever she creates is cool.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, whenever you've got it ready, send it to me, I'll get it out through Mark.
All right, and now we are at public comment.
So on this side, the only person still left is Christine.
Christine, our board member?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still here.
All right, so we have Mr. Richardson, do you have any?
Yes, I just wanted to say, good evening and, thank you. I want to announce that our annual teen poetry event is coming up Sunday, March 7th at 4 p.m. at the beautiful historic Thomas Center located at 302 Northeast 6th Avenue, Gainesville, Florida. The event begins at 4 o'clock. There will be COVID protocols in place. This year, the event will be a little different than the previous events because of COVID. They're going to have all the teams come to the Thomas Center with a limited audience. And this time, the event is going to be recorded by the city and aired for the public at a later date as a filmed product full of the team's poetry and their interviews, comments with them, and everything like that. So I think it'll be really exciting. So tell your friends if you got any teens who are interested in spoken word poetry or just storytelling, just expression, whatever that is. Have them show up that day, sign up, contact artspeaksgnv.org, or call me, E. Stanley Richardson, at estanleyrichardson@gmail.com, or contact me at 352-792-2846. And again, that's Art Speaks, Courageous Young Voices, our 7th annual teen poetry event. 7th annual teen poetry event, artspeaksgnv.org, Sunday, 4 p.m., Thomas Center, 302 Northeast 6th Avenue, Gainesville, Florida. Please share, be there. Thank you.
That's wonderful, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a new board member, Sarah. So nice to have you.
She's not on anymore.
She left. Everybody's trying to get some phone. Okay, on that note, we will go ahead and adjourn.
But seriously, tell if you got any young people, you know, as kids in school. It's a little bit